checking out the Home Recording Network. If you know anything about me, then you know I love mixing bands with drums, guitars, basses, and all that good stuff. But I do realize that there are people watching my content that are working with things like beats and 2-tracks, and they could care less about mixing instruments like drums. And the thing is, I have worked with a good amount of hip-hop artists where the mixing session is nothing but a beat and a bunch of vocal tracks. So what's the trick here, right? Is there something special that we should be doing in order to fit these vocals into the mix? Well, let's open up a recent session from an artist that I recorded about a month ago so that I can show you my normal workflow when I get a session like this. And just to be clear, this is a hip-hop mix, but these techniques can be used with any 2-track instrumental. All right, so we are inside this mix that I would describe as more of a old school hip hop style song, and I'm just gonna play you a little clip first.
No pay her a portion just cause she busting it open. Society sexist, men are the only opponents. Pussy endorsements, let me paint you a portrait. They not fucking niggas in the little leagues. Trips to Italy with princes in the Middle East. Think she's a princess, check the context for her history. Let me tell you what these bitches seek. They want what they want, what they want. Bad boy, like Satan, they need what they need, what they need. A ring, like LeBron, goddamn. So now y'all know like Tupac said, we don't love these hoes. Y'all niggas need to know no one wanna marry her. I hear it on the road, Chuck Berry. She's a 304, 304, she's a 304. She wants you to go to war, wants you to open doors, then tell her check the score. Cause why'd you do that when she's a 304? She's a 304, 304, she's a 304. Can't trust her on a tour, her job is making porn. She never shows support, to happen the divorce. She's a 304.
All right, so the mix is actually pretty simple. So we have our beat at the top in red, and then we just have a ton of vocal tracks, and then all our vocal effects at the bottom. So let's talk about what I do when I typically mix a song like this, when it's just a beat and vocals. So when you get a beat like this, it's typically going to look like this. So it's going to be mastered and it's going to be hitting up to close to unity gain. So there's not a lot of headroom. So the first thing that I do when I get a beat like this is just knock down the gain a little bit. So I'll typically go over here and just do a -5 dB and gain some headroom. Now, why do I lower the gain like this? Well, it's because I'm typically gonna process this beat, right? I wanna mess with it. I wanna EQ it, add some analog style plugins to it. And when we are going super hot into these type of plugins, the sound quality is not gonna be the best. So I just want to gain a little bit more headroom before I send this track through the plugins that I want to put on it. Usually these beats sound pretty good, and this artist actually made his own, and I really respect that. But a lot of times people get them off of YouTube and things like that, but they still sound pretty good. So there's usually not major changes that are going to happen here, but you do want to put your own spin on it. So I'll just quickly show you a before and after of the 3 plugins that are on it, and you're going to notice that there's a lot more low end. It's a lot thicker and it's crispier at the top end. So I'll start with off and then I'll bring them in. Yeah, and like I said, there's not a huge difference here. The beat already sounded fine, but every little bit helps. We're real limited here because we only have one track and then a bunch of vocals to work with, so we want to make everything sound as good as it possibly can. My typical workflow for a beat like this is to start off with Virtual Mix Rack, and it's usually these 3 plugins. So I have Virtual Mix Bus on here for some saturation. I have Revival for some high-end and low-end harmonic distortion. So here we really brightened it up a good amount. And this is a plugin that you can actually go pretty big with and not really hurt the beat too much. You can, maintain the integrity of the original beat. And then this custom series EQ is a really lightweight EQ, so you can do a lot of big boosts here and again maintain the integrity of the original mix. If I need some more brightness out of the track, I'll usually do a 12 or 15K boost like I did here. And then the 60 hertz boost is nice as well if you need some additional low end. And next I'll usually run the beat through a virtual tape machine. And this again is going to thicken up the track and saturate it, kind of shave off the edges. So if I bypass this guy and bring it in, you'll notice a nice low end bump. And a plugin like this is good for making your digital beats sound a little bit warmer and more analog. And lastly, if there's any additional EQ work to be done, any graphical EQ will do. So right here, we just took out a little at 150 because I felt like with the tape machine and the low end bumps that we did, there just seemed to be a little too much buildup here at 150. Yeah, and there might be a little bit of corrective EQ work at the end because when we start stacking analog modeled plugins like this, there's bound to be, some buildup in different areas of the frequency spectrum. And we're going to jump to the end real quick. So all the way at the master bus here, you see I have 3 plugins on there. So this isn't as loaded up. If this was like a rock song or something like that, I'd probably have a lot more plugins on this. But since it's just a beat and some vocals, not a lot's needed. So with the virtual mix rack, I just again have the virtual mix bus on there, saturating the overall mix. I have the black box HG2 with just some subtle saturation, and this BX Digital version 3 is just widening the mix a bunch.
Does improve you than the business. Listen, make a fortune, make financial abortion. Don't pay her a portion just cause you're busting it over. Society
When you're working with just a 2-track like this, there's not going to really be any overall compression or glue you're going to need on the mix. Because again, this beat's already been compressed and you should be doing heavy compression on your vocals. So if we look at one of the vocal tracks here.
does improve you than the business. Listen, make a fortune, make financial abortion.
We're getting a ton of gain reduction on the tracks themselves. So there's not really any overall glue to be added. But other than that, I don't really treat these vocals any differently than I would in any other song. So when you're working with a beat and just vocals, I go about the vocals the same exact way. It's almost like half the work's already done for you because you don't really have to touch the music too much. But if you do have any other questions, let me know. I do have a couple videos out there on mixing hip-hop vocals, and I'll link those at the top. But if you want to see how I mixed the vocals in this song, or if you have any questions about the effects I use, just let me know and I'd be happy to make another video. Hey guys, if you like this video, be sure to download your free Ultimate Home Studio Mix Guide with your go-to EQ and compression settings for all your tracks. And also be sure to register for my free online mix training that I hold a couple times a week so that you can learn how to make radio quality music from your home without breaking the bank.